Hi everyone, it is me, Jordan Long here, and today I'm going to talk about, when someone says, oh, you can't say Far Eastern or Eastern. Now, for many folks, from other many folks, there are words that either words of shame, you know, or there are also words that they say that they like to be called. And even though it might not match up, you think it's greater to say that than to say something else that's shameful. So, I am Far Eastern. My forekin were Far Eastern, and that made me Far Eastern. And some folks out there might say, oh, well, why don't you say Asian? Because first off, Asian is a Hellenish borrowed word. And anyone who lives in the East, and the East is cut, and the East is a big land, are Eastern, you know. So that's why I wouldn't say that. Far Eastern would mean the Far East, you know. And there's also folks who are Middle Eastern and West Eastern and Northeastern and Southeastern folks, and and on so and on so. Um, if I ever go to talk with someone, it always comes down to something like this. So let's go like with rain. Well, Jordan, I don't think you should. I don't really think you should say. I don't really think you should say Far Eastern. Well, what do you got against Far Eastern, Rain? We're Far Eastern. We came from the Far East. And there's the Northeast, there's the Southeast, there's the West East, there's the East, and there's the Southeast. And I don't see why you would make a big deal out of it. I mean, it's not one of those shameful words that someone says to put someone else down or to shame someone. I'm not saying those words, and you're never going to hear those words come out of my mouth. So, Far Eastern would be the English word for it, since Asian is the Hellenish borrowed word. And when we stop to think of it, the Far Eastern folk are not the only folk that live in the East. There are the Middle Eastern folk. Then there's also what we also call the Northeastern folk, the Southeastern folk, and the West Eastern folk. Yes, So that's why I would say Eastern or Far Eastern, and I don't see why you would make a big deal out of it. Well, you can't go around saying that. I just said it now. It's not sinful, it's not unlawful. It was not some shameful word to put someone down. It's not like someone who's kind hating and then they go and they say some word to put someone down. I'm not doing that. So at the end of the day, Rain, I don't really see why you would make a big deal out of being called Far Eastern. I even had that put down on my driver's deal. Hell, before I even got a driver's deal, I have that put down on my name, on my self deal, I guess we'll call it, or a sheet. And it really didn't make a big deal. No one didn't say anything. And the last time I looked, Far Eastern, or calling someone Far Eastern or only Eastern, is not a put down. It's not shaming. It's not guilting. It's not kind hating at all. Because I don't have that mindset or stand, and I never will. So I don't see why you make a big deal out of it. I just think that I just know that someone out there might, get irked or angry over it. Yeah, there are folks that get irked and angry over everything. Over things you shouldn't be getting irked or angry over. Or retched over. But most folks aren't going to make a big deal out of, me saying Far Eastern. Or calling myself Eastern. Alright? You call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. That's great for you. And I'll say what I want to say. I'm not shaming anyone. I'm not guilting anyone. I'm not doing anything. So, I don't see why you make a big deal out of it. I mean, that is the truth. Far Eastern is it's who I Far Eastern. And yes, there are sundress other folks that are Eastern too. You got the Middle Eastern folk, you got the West Eastern folk, the Northeastern folk, you got the Southeastern folk, and the Eastern folk like us, and the Western Eastern folk. And I don't really think any of them would make a big thing out of it. If you like this film, then follow me over here for the Jordan Long Fairway. Give me a thumb up, which is the only way you can like a film on here. Write down on my film what you think about Far Eastern. Do you I, Jordan Long, and I'll see you later. Goodbye. Farewell.